Hi guys, welcome back to Christy's Book Corner. I'm your host Christy Mason, and today we're going to continue with Inkheart by Cornelia Funk. And today's chapter is 29. Alright, 29. Only an Idea. The apartment that Finagolo rented to tourists was only 2 streets away from his own house, and had 2 bedrooms plus a tiny bathroom and a kitchen. Since it was the only on the ground floor, it was rather dark, and the beds creaked when you lay down in them. All the same, Maggie slept well, or any better than on Capricorn's damp straw, or in the hovel with the ruined roof. Mo slept only fitfully. Maggie was awoken twice on that first night, but by tomcats fighting out in the streets, and both times she saw him lying there with his eyes open, arms folded behind his head, looking at the dark window. He got up very early in the morning and went to buy food for breakfast in the shop at the end of the street. The rolls were fresh and warm, and Maggie really didn't almost feel as if they were on vacation when Mo and she drove to the nearest town of any size to buy the basic tools of his trade: bushes, knives, fabric, soot, cardboard, and truly gigantic ice creams, which they ate together in a cafe by the sea. Maggie still had the taste of ice cream in her mouth as they knocked on the door of Finagolo's house. The old man and Mo drank another cup of coffee in his green kitchen before he took Mo and Maggie up to the attic, where he kept his books. "I don't believe it," said Mo, outraged, standing in front of Finagolo's dusty bookshelves. "They should all be seized on the spot. When did you last come up here? I could scrape the dust off their pages with a trowel. I had to put them up here," said Finagolo, defensively, signs of a guilty conscience lurking among his wrinkles. "I was getting so short of space downstairs with all these shelves. And anyway, my grandchildren were always pulling them around. They could hardly have done as much damage as the damp and dirt up here," said Mo. Finagolo went downstairs again, looking crestfallen. "You poor child. Is your father always so strict?" he asked Maggie as they climbed down the steep staircase. "Only about books," she said. Finagolo disappeared in his study before she could ask him any questions, and his grandchildren were at school or play group, so she got the books that Eleanor had given her, and sat down with them on the light flight of steps leading into Finagolo's tiny garden. Wild roses grew so thickly there that you could hardly take a step without feeling their shoots twine around your legs. Twine around your legs. And from this top step you could see the sea, far away, yet looking very close. Maggie opened the book of poems. She had to narrow her eyes because the sun was shining in her face so brightly, and before beginning to read she looked over her shoulder to make quite sure Mo hadn't followed her down. She didn't want him to catch her at what she was planning to do. She was ashamed of it, but the temptation was just too good. When she perfectly sure no one was coming, she took a deep breath, cleared her throat, and began. She stroked every word with her lips the way she had seen Mo do it, almost tenderly, as if every word were a musical note, and any word spoken without love were a discard in the melody. But she soon realized that if she paid too much attention to every separate word, the sentence didn't sound right any more, and the picture behind it were lost if she concentrated on the sound alone and not the sense. It was difficult, so difficult, and the sun was making her drowsy, until at last she closed the book and held her face up to its warm rays. It was silly of her to try anyway, very silly. Later that afternoon, Pippo, Paula, and Rico came back, and Maggie walked around the village with them. They bought things in the shop where Mo had gone in the morning, sat on a wall on the outskirts of the village, watched ants carrying pine needles and flower seeds over the rough stones, and counted the ships sailing by on the distant sea. A second day passed like this. Now and then, Maggie wondered where Dustfinger could be and whether Farid was still with him, how Eleanor was, and if she was beginning to wonder where they were. There was no answer to any of these questions, and Maggie didn't find out what Fenagolo was doing behind his study door, either. Chewing his pencil, Paula told her, when she had managed to hide under her grandfather's desk, just chewing the end of his pencil, and walked up and down. Mo, when are we going to Eleanor's house? Maggie asked on their second night. When she sensed that yet again he couldn't sleep, she perched on the edge of his bed. The bed creaked just like hers. Soon, he said. Go to sleep again. Now, okay? Do you miss her? My mom, I mean? Maggie herself didn't know why she asked the question out in the blue. All of a sudden it was there, on the tip of her tongue, and had to be spoken out loud. It was a long time before Mo answered. Sometimes, he said at last. In the morning, at midday, in the evening, at night, almost all the time. Maggie felt jealously digging its little claws into her heart. She knew that feeling. She felt it every time Mo had a new girlfriend. But how could she be jealous of her own mother? Tell me about her, she said quietly. I don't mean the made-up stories you used to tell. She used to search her books for a suitable mother, but there were hardly any mothers in her favorite stories. Tom Sawyer, no mother. Huck Finn, ditto. Peter Pan and the Lost Boys, not a mother in sight. Jim Button was motherless too, and all of you found in fairy tales were wicked stepmothers, heartless, jealous stepmothers. The list could go on forever. That had often comforted Maggie in the past. It didn't seem particularly unusual not to have a mother, or at least not in the books she liked best. What do you want me to tell you? Mo looked out the window. The tomcats were fighting outside again. Their yowls sounded like babies crying. You look more like her than me, I'm glad to say. She laughs like you, and she chews a strand of hair while she's ready, exactly the way you do. She's near-sighted, but too vain to wear glasses. I can understand that. Maggie sat down beside him. His arm hardly hurt him now. The bite from Basta's dog had almost healed, but there would always be a scar pale as the scars Basta's knife had felt 9 years ago. What do you mean? I like glasses, said Mo. I don't. Go on. She loves stones, flat, smooth stones that fit comfortably in her hand. She always has one or two of them in her pocket, and she weighs down books with them, especially paperbacks. She doesn't like the covers to stick up in the air, but you were always taking the stones away and rolling them over the wooden floor. And then she was cross. Oh, I don't know. She tickled your fat little neck until you let go of the stones. Mo turned around to look at her. Do you really not miss her, Maggie? I don't know. Well, only if I'm feeling angry with you. About a dozen times a day, then. Don't be silly. Maggie dug her elbow into his ribs. They both listened for any sounds in the night. The window was open just a crack, and it was quite quiet outside. The tomcats had fallen silent, probably licking their wounds. For a moment Maggie thought she could hear the sea breaking in the distance. but perhaps it was only the traffic on the nearby highway. Where do you think Dustfinger has gone? The darkness enveloped them like a soft cloth. I'll miss this warmth, she thought. I really will. I don't know, said Mo. His voice sounded absent. A long way off, I hope, but I'm not sure. And where was Maggie? Do you think the boy's still with him? Fareed, she liked his name. I expect so. He was running after Dustfinger like a dog. He likes Dustfinger. Do you think Dustfinger likes him? Mo shrugged his shoulders. I don't know who or what Dustfinger likes. Maggie rested her head against his chest, the way she always used it at home when he was telling her a story. He still wants the book, doesn't he? She whispered. Bastard will make mincemeat of him if he catches him. He might. I don't know what that word is. He must have gotten a new knife by now. Someone was coming along the narrow alley. A door opened and was closed again. A dog barked. If it wasn't for you, said Mo, I'd go back to... It's the end of chapter 29. Stay tuned for chapter 30. It's going to be a long one, so prepare yourself. I may have to take water drinks. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and also to hit the notifications bell to be notified when I upload another video. And remember to dare to dream. Bye, guys.